Star Child.
Well, in addition to being the star child of Kiss fame, you took on a tremendous challenge by playing the lead role in Phantom of the Opera in Toronto.
Yeah.
And had a very successful stage run.
Yes.
Now, it's my understanding that to take that role, the first thing was you had to change the whole way that you sing.
Technique, yeah.
Tell me that story.
I was in London in the West End in '88, sitting in good seats and watching Phantom. And there was a scene where Christine pulls the mask off his face, and suddenly I went, you can do that. You know what that's about. And I didn't really understand at that point what was connecting for me. But once again, I had that epiphany. And 10 years later, my agents for music called me up and said, here's something strange. Do you have any interest in theater? And I was like, of course, I love theater. Well, are you interested in auditioning for a theatrical production? I said, well, what is it? They said, Phantom of the Opera. And I said, absolutely. I didn't realize how difficult it would be. It was a tremendous opportunity for me, and the pressure was enormous. I had a few weeks to learn the show and to rehearse it with a few of the understudies because the show was running. And then basically they take you and throw you out. They throw you in the deep end of the pool and go, good luck. And God knows, there are always people who want to see me drown. And that's enough reason for me to swim. So I would get standing ovations every night, and I never worked harder in my life. It was absolutely the hardest work I've ever done.
Well, fair or unfair to say that you identified with Phantom. You had as a child this bad ear, you had the disfigurement.
And isn't it interesting? I didn't even realize that. Until I did Phantom, I didn't realize the connection and why I identified with this person who was tortured by his differences and wanted to relate and have a relationship with a woman but couldn't do it. And when he finally had her, he couldn't stand to be touched by her. It's astounding that it was so close to me that I couldn't see it. Interestingly, I would get mail backstage, and during one of my breaks, I got a letter from a woman saying that she was so impressed and moved by my performance and that I seemed to understand the character, and that she was the head of a organization that dealt with children with facial differences and their parents, a organization called About Face. And I contacted her and I said, I have a birth difference. I have an anomaly. I have a microtia. And I never really told people that. And she said, would you want to come and speak? That was one of the most freeing things in my life. And it was the start of something new for me, of understanding truly that the more secrets you give up, the freer you are. The less you hold inside, the more you find out how much other people are like you. That was incredible for me.
The big interview rolls on with Paul Stanley of Kiss when we come back.
Show business of any kind was too far-fetched for a Canadian kid, huh?
Thursday. Get your groove on with Throwback Thursday.
Aw, gee.
I would dig it if she was my TV mom. First, hit rewind with the very, very best of the 70s.
The mama to end all mamas.
Take a look back at the me decade as celebrity experts count down the most iconic TV moms.
MILH, moms I'd like to have.
Then, go back in time with rock legends. Look inside the life and music of iconic singer-songwriter James Taylor.
Look, I'm a monster. It's such a storyteller.
And finally, the curtain closes with the Thursday night movie. Grab your popcorn and blast back to the past with MacArthur.
I'll stay here with my boy.
You'll be digging the Thursday night throwback. Unwind and rewind. Throwback Thursday It all starts at 8/7 Central on Access TV.
While most people know Paul Stanley for his music, his artistic vision has influenced everything that Kiss does. He has created and designed several Kiss album covers, stages, costumes, and the Kiss logo, which is arguably one of those iconic logos of all time. Paul Stanley recently designed a popular new sneaker line. He is also an accomplished painter. He has been painting colorful portraits and abstracts for nearly 2 decades.
I haven't asked you about your visual art. I'm keeping in mind, Kiss in many ways is visual art.
Mm-hmm.
But you've always had a talent for drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about your painting.
Painting is something that came late in my life. I started painting about 18 years ago, maybe, or 17 years ago. And it was at a tumultuous time in my life, and a very dear friend of mine said to me, "You should paint." And I was like taken aback. I said, "I should paint?" And they said, "Yeah." Something about it resonated with me, like a lot of other things in my life. And I went out and bought canvases and paints and brushes and had no idea what I was going to do. And initially, I saw it as purging. Almost stream of consciousness, using color, just letting stuff out. And it was almost a diary that I could look at. This is what I'm feeling today. And upon completing a work, I had that sigh of relief. That's out. And over time, it turned into something very different. I never painted. Once again, it goes back to, I never did it with the idea of anyone seeing my work. I painted for myself. And the first piece that I hung in the house is still hanging over there, and it's still not signed, because I felt if somebody saw it and saw my signature on it, they might like it more or like it less. But people would come over and say, "Who did that?" And I go, "Me." And that led to putting a few more pieces up that I liked. And at some point, a gallery owner said, "Why don't we do a show?" And that I was quizzical and ambivalent, and I did it, and lo and behold, people acquired pieces.
Well, and the gallery owner says it's one thing for someone with your name to draw a crowd. It's another thing to have them buy the paintings, and they've been buying the paintings.
It's, at last count, we were over $10 million in sales. So I have to adjust my thinking, because if credibility is built on being a starving artist, I'll never have credibility. That being said, it's so gratifying for me. Painting is just another aspect of my life that at this point I can't imagine not having. I try to paint 5 days a week. I may drop my children off at school and then go paint, and it's always an adventure. I may smile a lot, but it's because life is grand, and on its worst day, it's a miracle.
As one myself who's married to a painter, I know better than to ask a painter, describe your art for us. But taking that into account, when someone says, well, what kind of art do you do? How do you answer them?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is color. Somebody said that I was fearless with color, and I go, what's there to be afraid of? It's I see life as so vibrant, and I see color as a affirmation of that. So I paint with a lot of color, and the fact that I don't know color relationships frees me up to do things that perhaps others wouldn't do. I get to paint icons like a Marilyn or a Jimi Hendrix, fish tanks on plexiglass that are 2 inches thick, painted on both sides to give it dimension, flower arrangements doing the same thing. It never ends. Every day there are new possibilities. Every day, it's always interesting. Someone said to me, how's your day going? I go, I woke up. As long as I'm looking down at the grass instead of up at it, good day.
Well, I want to make this day good, but I want you to show me some of yours.
Sure.
When you were painting this, what were you thinking?
Well, I had this fascination for quite a while, and I still do, with spheres. I found spheres very meditative, and also there's a sense of, it's a continuum. Circles never end, and maybe that's how I feel about life, that things go full circle. So I found myself just taking a string, putting it in the center, and doing the outline, and I used this substance called modeling paste to give texture, and then I just worked and worked at the canvas. I just went at it with my body. Van Gogh once said something brilliant in a letter to his brother. He said, "I'm no longer content to be the painter, I want to be the paint." And that was, I so related to the idea that you just want to put yourself into your work. So this was either my first or second painting, and I thought, gee, that would look really great in this room. And I hung it up and was too self-conscious to sign it. And lo and behold, as a reminder, it's still unsigned, but it represents everything that came after it.
We'll have more of my interview with Paul Stanley of KISS when the big interview returns.
Sunday. Rock and roll road trip with Sammy Hagar.
Here we go, dig it!
Sammy jets to Florida, shows us what it takes to make a record,
You know, this was go right, record, make music.
and then rocks a new song with The Circle. There. It's an exciting episode of Real Money. Eddie and Jesse return to the Top 10 reveal,
Glad I washed my head.
and the Money family are forced to leave their home.
We were right in the middle of it.
And finally, hit the stage with Access TV concerts and the premiere of Old Dominion. There's only one way to rock. Sunday Night Rocks. It all starts 8/7 Central. Only on Access TV.
We know who you are as a musician, but as a person, within yourself, who are you?
I'm a person who has an unquenchable thirst for creative outlets. I define myself by the way I find to express myself, whether it's theater, whether it's art, whether it's music. That's part of how I find who I am. But more important than anything, including music, is I'm a father and I'm a husband. And I truly believe that our purpose on earth, and it only became clear to me after I started to have children, our purpose here is to leave this earth a better place than when we came in. And the way we do that is by raising children who make the world better also. And you do that by leading by example. So I am caught up in making sure that my children can look up to me, not because I'm famous, but because I do what I think is right. And I sleep well knowing that I set what I think is a really good example for my children, and I honor my wife. That's where it all starts. When I was younger, I didn't realize that that's the core of a great life. When you're young, you are the epicenter. You're the center of the universe. But as you grow, hopefully, particularly when you have children, if you're doing it the way I think is right, you move over and go, you're the center. Let me go with you. And I think there's a cathartic aspect to parenthood because gives you the chance to have someone else live the life you may not have. And that's healing for you. That's healing for me.
It all comes to an end for us, sooner or later, everybody. For what do you want to be most remembered? You've done so much. You've conquered so many mountains. For what do you want to be remembered?
That I tried. That I sometimes fell short, but I always did my best. I never cheated the public, and I never cheated myself. At the end of the day, I was someone who could go to bed with a clear conscience and know that I was living a good life and doing for myself and for others.
Oh, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for this edition of The Big Interview. We're always eager to hear what you have to say, so please follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or send your comments to viewer@access.tv.